food, the music, the vibe. Kick off your summer at the Ohio Black Expo Riverfront Culture Fest. Tell your friends, share with family. There's no other place to be Memorial Day weekend. Celebrate Black excellence.
Plus 2 concerts featuring Tidra Moses, Talib Kweli, and Jay Rawls, the one and only Marsha Ambrosius, and more.
Experience the African diaspora at its finest. So go to OhioBlackExpo.com for tickets, updates, and more. Visit OhioBlackExpo.com. That's OhioBlackExpo.com.
Introducing the African Diaspora News Channel app, your gateway to stories that's overlooked by the corporate mainstream media.
At African Diaspora News Channel, we cover stories that don't receive mainstream attention, and we serve as the voice to the global Black community. We are committed to informing and educating through the power of media, connecting the African diaspora one story at a time.
With our platform, we're helping to end injustice by exposing it.
Join us in standing for excellence in journalism and serving our community. Download the African Diaspora News app today.
Peace, family. My name is Vicki Dillard for African Diaspora News Channel. Thank you so much for tuning in. We're so pleased that you are with us today. As you come in, be sure to come in giving us a big thumbs up, and share the broadcast. That way others will know that we are here. Thank you so very much. Family, don't forget that you can typically find me here on this wonderful network Tuesday through Thursday, 2 p.m. Eastern. Yes, Tuesday through Thursday, 2 p.m. Eastern. Family, I want to continue to give us more and more evidence, more documentation, more receipts of what the injustices that foundational Black Americans have experienced in this country in the past, present, and of the projected future, the stuff that the Democratic Party and the Republican Party and others are talking about. Yes, what am I talking about? Why are we doing that? How many of you all know that when you're dealing with a legal case, and I need you all to understand why we stay on these topics and why we're showing you different angles and emphasizing certain things, and why we're doing that now. How many of you all know that when you're dealing with a court of law and you're dealing with the legal process, especially in the United States of America, there is a legal phrase that some of you have very likely have heard of before that's known as having a preponderance of evidence. How many of you all may have heard that phrase before? Talk black to me, somebody. How many of you all have heard the phrase a preponderance of evidence? Yes? Now, I wanted to briefly mention this, and I'm not going to take it for granted that you understand what I'm saying, even in a legal context. In a legal context, preponderance of evidence means that the evidence presented must show that a claim is more likely true than not true, requiring a greater than 50% chance of being true. The standard is commonly used in civil cases. Are y'all listening to me today? The preponderance of evidence, beloved, is about one party, is presented by one party, is more convincing and credible than the evidence presented by the other party, leading the fact finder, the judge or the jury, right, to believe that the fact to be proven is more probable than not. Yes, I'm getting very technical with you right now. Yes, I'm using legalese. Give me just a moment because I want to show you a clip here in a second. Are you ready? It says here also that this standard is most commonly used in civil cases which involve disputes between individuals or entities such as personal injury, contract disputes, and property disputes. The burden of proof. In civil cases, the party who brings the lawsuit, which is the plaintiff, has the burden of proving their case by a preponderance of the evidence. The preponderance of the evidence is a standard. A standard is a lower standard of proof than clear and convincing evidence or beyond a reasonable doubt, which are used in some civil cases and criminal cases, respectively. Beyond a reasonable doubt, I'm almost finished. In criminal cases, the prosecution must prove that the defendant's guilt is beyond a reasonable doubt, a much higher standard of proof than the preponderance of evidence. Now, this notion of a preponderance of evidence, to the average mind, the layman's mind, one might believe that you have to have a whole bunch of evidence. I'm actually intentionally using the word preponderance of evidence because that's the technical term that you use in civil cases, which our reparations case ought to be criminal and civil. Talk back to me, somebody. But because we're dealing with chattel slavery and the earlier times of our injustice, I'm going to keep it to that period and that particular brute uncivilized behavior by the United States government, specifically the economics part of it, which in a sense would really be civil, which is why it's most appropriate in this case to use the term preponderance of evidence. But I want you all to understand that we're giving you receipts after receipts, bits of evidence after evidence, and we're showing you contrast even in modern times, why it is absolutely a travesty, a catastrophe, and it is of great urgency that Black folks get what belongs to us because everybody's before us. This clip that you're getting ready to see now is a Democrat senator. Y'all have heard me discuss this before because this has been out for, I don't know, it's maybe a couple of years or so now. Y'all know how I do. I'm going to stay on stuff because my goal is to affect change. Talk black to me. And the way you affect change is because the news cycles move so fast. And how many of y'all know that your government and the powers that shouldn't be in different spheres of influence, different areas of people activity, they intentionally overwhelm you so that you will forget. They don't want you to keep up with all the madness that's going on. So they dominate the news to keep you distracted and preoccupied so that you don't ever remember what's actually due to us or remember or focus on what's actually important. Did you hear that? That's where we as Black media come in. We're going to keep the main thing. The main thing. Yeah, we're going to talk about stuff that's in the news now, but baby, you better believe I'm going to lace it to what matters to us, baby. We're going to ride every train and it's going to lead back to us. Senator Chuck Schumer was in an open press conference. And it's about the five, what they call the five, that slammed Chuck Schumer over his amnesty proposal. This is one of the Democrats' nonstop push for immigration, right? Y'all, this clip, this press conference, are y'all listening? It's before Trump. This is almost, 2.5, 3 years ago. Are y'all listening? Watch this brief clip of senior Senator Chuck Schumer out of New York. Listen to what he says here in a press conference. Are y'all ready? Watch this clip.
Migrants make us stronger now more than ever. Now more than ever. We're short of workers. We have a population that is not reproducing it on its own with the same level that it used to. The only way we're going to have a great future in America is if we welcome and embrace immigrants, the dreamers, and all of them, because our ultimate goal is to help the dreamers, but get a path to citizenship for all 11 million or however many undocumented there are here.
Wow, 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 wow. Did you all hear that? This is not the anti-Black racist Republican Party that the Democrats keeps trying to scare us away from. And we know that Republicans ain't right, and we always give them that work and have for many, many, many decades, yes? But the Democrats ain't right. Let me speak proper English. The Democrats aren't right. The Democrats are not correct. I'm trying to get you all to see that the fear of a melanated country is not just one-sided. The Democrats know that the Republicans are more public and bold with it. But at the end of the day, it's about the fruit. It's about the results you're getting or not getting that determines whether or not one party is good over the other. So Black family, and those of us that have been a part of the Democrat family, the Democrat Party, our family, friends, and loved ones that's voted that way for many decades, we cannot say we've gotten reparations. We can't say we've gotten justice. We can't say we have our own crime bill. We can't say gerrymandering has stopped. We can't say redlining has stopped. We can't say we're still not being deleted in the streets by the enforcement of white supremacy, which is often many parts of law enforcement. We can't say that. What did Chuck Schumer keep emphasizing in that clip? I don't know if the team can do this for me, Can we replay the clip one more time because it's so short? I want you all to hear something that Chuck Schumer says again and again. I want you to hear the part that he keeps emphasizing on this. He says something now more than ever. Can we replay that, team?
Migrants make us stronger now more than ever.
Awesome.
Now more than ever. We're short of workers. We have a population that is not reproducing it on its own with the same level that it used to. The only way we're going to have a great future in America is if we welcome and embrace immigrants, the dreamers, and all of them, because our ultimate goal is to help the dreamers, but get a path to citizenship for all 11 million or however many undocumented there are here.
Did you hear the point there that he kept emphasizing? He said, now more than ever. He said, what? Now more than ever. What is the urgency, Chuck Schumer? And he slipped up and said what he shouldn't have said in public. Why is it that the likes of him and other politicians, the part that they've been keeping secret the whole time, they end up slipping out? When they realize that the people aren't convinced. Where's my gavel? Talk black to me, somebody. The Vicki Show is the home of the hand claps and the gavel raps, baby. When a politician, when an influential person fears that that finesse and that game that they've been playing with you, their ability to bamboozle and trick you, when they realize that it's not working like it used to, when they see the look on your face, when they see that you're not responding like you used to, when you're not voting like you used to, when you're not shucking and jiving and dancing like you used to, they got to work harder to convince you, because all the narratives and the lies that they told us before used to work, but it ain't hitting good anymore. So what do? They slip up from time to time and give you a hint of the real agenda. Notice in that clip, he said we need workers, right? This is what all the Democrats claim why we need illegal immigrants to be given legal status. Because they keep claiming that we got they worried about a job crisis and who's going to fill what jobs and who ain't going to fill them certain jobs, right? He said that about the jobs, but he realized that ain't strong enough. So what did he say? He said that the population, a certain population, meaning his people, white people in America, aren't producing children like they used to. Let me stop laughing. Yo, did you hear him say they're not producing children like they used to? He slipped up, and y'all know his aides when he got back into the office that they was probably going off on him. Sir, this is something that was supposed to be kept confidential. You weren't supposed to tell them that. You were supposed to keep focusing on the workers, and who's going to pick the strawberries. You're supposed to stick to the script on who's going to be janitors and landscapers. Who's going to jump on them John Deeres and stop? Why did you talk about the workers and then you slipped up and led into the fact that a certain population ain't having children? And kept saying, now more than ever. Now more than ever. See, time is of the essence for them. How many of y'all know Vicki will not stop talking about what Joe Biden said 4 years ago? Y'all remember when he secured the presidency, he was just waiting for a couple of months to come around so he could take the oath of office at January. How many of y'all know in that Zoom call to these so-called black civil rights leaders, he slipped up and Joe Biden said what? He said America was doomed, not just because of what? Black folks. He said because white folks in America are getting ready to be the minority come 2040. Do you all see how they are freaked out? But didn't they tell us that color don't matter? Didn't they tell us we all the same? So even if white folks' numbers are diminishing, what are they worried about? What's the problem with y'all? Because y'all the minority around the world. The darker people of the planet, we make up the majority around the world. But if in terms of holding the levels of power and the number of the population, specifically in the United States of America, what are you worried about? Why is it a problem even if your numbers are lower? If America is still going to exist and go on, but it's just going to be less numbers of y'all, why is that a problem? Since y'all always tell us we the same. We're all human beings. We're all Americans. Are they concerned that we're going to make war against them? Are they concerned that they're going to lose their positions of power? Are they concerned that we're going to do them the way they've historically done us over the years through multiple forms of oppression, uncivilized forms of behavior and oppression? Is this what they worried about? Are y'all listening? Chuck Schumer, a Democrat like Joe Biden, has been sounding the alarm that they're concerned about white folks becoming the minority. He slipped up and said it, and he slipped up and told y'all why they're working to legalize 11 million illegals. No, he didn't just say 11 million illegals, Vicki. What did Chuck Schumer say when he said 11 million illegal people that are here? He said, or however many. This is a clip you saw from 2022. Are y'all listening? And this is why your Democrat Party intentionally conflate legal immigration with illegal immigration. They make no distinction. And the moment they hear black folks complaining, they turn around and make it look like we're racist. And like the video yesterday, how many of y'all saw my video yesterday? Make sure you go back and watch it, okay? The broadcast I did yesterday where you saw this Democratic op. Remember, I told y'all, stay tuned. My people, I'm getting some footage to, baby, I'm going to do a part 2. It's going to be explosive. When y'all see who else he connected to. That dude is a tether from a group called RevCar. I gave y'all some of the receipts so y'all can look it up. And there's more than enough evidence that we have to show that he is working on behalf of the Democrat Party. I got more receipts to show you some other little shady stuff he did in the past. But watch this. One of the things that he said when he was giving his testimony in a city council meeting on immigration, that black looking dude told us that we, black people, we're illegal immigrants too. Y'all know how they love to tell us that we all immigrants? He didn't even go there to tell that lie that we all immigrants. He said we all illegal immigrants. And then I had to remind y'all, no, we ain't, baby. Because even under America's diabolical and satanic system, it was written in the Constitution that slavery was legal. There are many other reasons why we can attack his weak claim that we're all illegals. But that's just one that was certainly codified in law. So much so, it was in his founding documents called the Constitution. So much so that that amendment had to be introduced and ratified. Talk black to me, somebody. They're sounding an alarm. He emphasized now more than ever, they're trying to hurry up and do it because they're trying to beat out the clock. Joe Biden slipped up and told us about the clock. What did Joe Biden tell us? 2040. When Joe Biden made that statement in front of the likes of Reverend Al Sharpton, Urban League, NAACP, and others that was on a Zoom call, and he cussed us out in that, he cussed them out in that Zoom call too. Watch this. He had the date. And how many of y'all know that not too long ago, around the time that Joe Biden said that, remember, the census was barely in. Remember the numbers of the census that came in, and that didn't help when Joe Biden and the Democrats and others saw some of the census numbers starting to trickle in. The most recent census that let them know, oh, it's happening faster than we thought. Are y'all understanding the agenda? The video, the broadcast I did yesterday showed you your Democrats senior senator from Illinois, Dick Durbin, on the Senate floor, on the Congress floor. I think it's on the Senate floor, where he was actually saying, let's legalize them and use them for the military service and give them all kind of goodies, citizenships and all that, and we'll put them in the army. We'll put them in the military. Do you all see how there are multiple different reasons they're trying to use these folks and bring them here, but they lying to us about it? They keep telling us workers, but see, it's folks like us in black alternative media. It's folks like our brother Phil Scott. It's folks networks like African Diaspora News Channel that's busting up that narrative. And so the people, they're not taking that bait like they used to about the workers. They know that ain't hidden. So when they say it, when Chuck Schumer said out his mouth, as the words were forming and it was hitting the atmosphere, when the breath was coming out of his mouth, he knew it wasn't hitting. So he slipped up and said, and then it's a certain population that's not producing children like they used to. And Joe Biden said, white people, he said, America do because you ninjas. I'm gonna say it like that. That's why he said not just because black people, why? Because we hold more melanin than anybody else. And so we are the greatest threat. And white folks about to be the minority come 2040. And how many of y'all know they had immigration in mind even when Joe Biden made that statement? Because what else he said? And y'all gonna have to work with Hispanics. Remember when Joe Biden said that on that video? Watch this. And I'm getting ready to go. Y'all know I love to quote from multiple different books, especially this little mini book about how white folks got so rich. By the time y'all done watching my broadcast, the whole book is read. Among others, yes. And by the way, family, make sure that you hit that thumbs up button that you share and you share if you haven't already. Watch this. I love to read from this little mini book about how white folks got so rich because it gets to the point and it tells you enough of the policies, rules, and regulations on how our oppression was codified in law and in policy and in custom. It wasn't no one-off. You don't find somebody that was in the Hispanic community or the Asian community or any of these other groups that maybe a handful of their people in one town or one county or something dealt with the injustice. You understand? It shows ours was intentional on local, state, federal level in Wall Street, Main Street, government, military, healthcare, talk black to me family, education, arts and entertainment, religion. In this section of the book on sharecropping, I'm gonna skip around because I'm just gonna read this excerpt. Sharecropping, it talks about it's a system of forced farming based on endless debt bondage. Now, how many of y'all know that Chuck Schumer, he got a book out now about anti-Semitism and stuff because that's his community, that's his people, right? And how many of you all know that there's a law that passed through the House of Representatives where if you offend their people, that they actually will tell you that that's a violation, and they codified that in the law that passed that part of the House of Representatives. We're still waiting here to see what the Senate's going to do. Now, they don't have nothing like that for us. Watch this. That same group of people are the ones that disproportionately benefited from sharecropping, family. In fact, this book says that this idea was first outlined in their holy book, the Talmud, which I'm not getting ready to get into, but they're saying how that's where sharecropping, the idea of it, was set up throughout the South to continue to reap the profits and horrors of plantation slavery long after its legal end in 1865. It goes on to talk about the fact how ex-slaves that were highly skilled in agriculture never received their 40 acres and a mule they were promised by General O.O. Howard, the former founder of Howard University. How many of you all know that the 40 acres and a mule that we were promised by General O.O. Howard, that he was the white founder of Howard University? Talk black to me, somebody. How many of y'all knew that? To build their own independent economic foundation. It talks about the fact that instead we were forced into a system that benefited mostly the oppressor, right? It says black farmers, I'm skipping, black farmers were prevented by law and by custom from owning land and were given instead, quote, a share of the old plantation lands they had worked as slaves to grow cotton, corn, wheat, and rice as tenant farmers, using debt and usury as the post-slavery whip and chain. Did y'all catch that? The sharecropping system legally tied each black farmer to the merchant who supplied him with the seeds, tools, food, and clothing that the farmer had no other way of obtaining. Once the farmer harvested the valuable crops, the merchant sold them on the international market, reaping astronomical profits. When time came to pay the black cropper, y'all see where we get the word now, sharecropper? When time came to pay the black cropper, the merchant told him that he had to run up a debt for his purchases. Are y'all listening? They had to run up a debt for his purchases. Where's this at? Yes, and that he owed the merchant money. so-called Negro testimony was not accepted in American courts, thus ensuring the cheated sharecropper could never obtain justice. Merchants exercised absolute despotic control over the black sharecroppers. This is the last section I'm gonna read. Blacks who tried to escape from this new slavery became the victims of the Ku Klux Klan, America's paramilitary terrorist organization, set up by ex-Confederate General Nathan Bedford Forrest and financed by the exiled Jewish plantation owner Judah P. Benjamin for the very purpose of keeping black laborers from leaving valuable cotton-producing land. W.E.B. Du Bois saw this wicked, wretched condition firmly rooted in the American South 35 years after slavery and bitterly concluded that fully 3/4 of the profits due black farmers had been simply stolen from them. It goes on to say that international bankers were tied in. Y'all better listen. International bankers were tied in with local merchants and reaped astounding profits from the sharecropping debt peonage system. These merchants grew into giant retailers like Skagowitz in Houston. Am I pronouncing this right? God Shows in New Orleans, Godchaux is in New Orleans. Riches in Atlanta. Goldsmiths in Memphis. Sanger's and Neiman Marcus of Texas. All department stores that emerged on the backs of the cotton-growing black farmers forced into sharecropping. Banks like A. Jacobs and Sons and the First National Bank used their profits to fund the growth and the development such Jim Crow cities as Atlanta, Georgia, Selma, Montgomery, and Birmingham, Alabama. Along with slavery itself, sharecropping is the dirty little secret at the root of America's wealth. It goes on to talk about how the immense profits generated by the industrious yet impoverished black farmers financed, y'all ain't ready for this, Europe and America's industrial revolution, including the building of their railroads, factories, mills, and the entire infrastructure. Sharecropping is the most lucrative system whites have ever devised, and it is the key to understanding not only the historical wealth of white America, but also the basis for America's foreign policy. I'm going to stop right there. There's much more. I like to read different parts of the injustices that we experience that's connected to slavery, that's connected to immigration, that's connected to foreign people and entities. Y'all see how this web is weaved? I'm going to always give you that preponderance of evidence. So as we continue to make our case before this United States government, we have more than enough receipts to prove in no limit of time that whatever we asking for is grossly under what we're actually due. My name is Vicki Dillard, beloved. Thank you so much for tuning in. I'm so pleased that you joined us this week, beloved. Be sure not to miss Brother Phil's broadcast tonight at 8 p.m. Eastern. Of course, be sure to check out my other wonderful, beautiful colleagues' broadcasts as well. Go to my website at VickiPlanet.com to check out some of my products and services. I can't wait to see you again.